Let's take a look at auctions around the country. Starting in Sydney, there'll be 836 auctions and there'll be another 148 auctions around New South Wales this weekend. Melbourne tops the list with 979 auctions. There'll be another 52 around Victoria. Brisbane will have 151 auctions, with the rest of Queensland having another 135 auctions. In Adelaide, there'll be 161 auctions this weekend, and in Canberra, there'll be 107 auctions. Moving on to the most viewed properties going to auction this week, and Victoria has dominated the list. First up is 7 Kent Street, Hawthorn, an inner city house that boasts 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms and a 2-car garage. It also features a glass-topped underground wine cellar, hydronic floor heating, and is priced at $1.8 to $1.98 million. 28 Webster Street, Camberwell comes in second. It's got 5 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms on 732 square metres. It features a heated pool and a spa, as well as a Hamptons-inspired stone kitchen. Has a price guide of $2.9 to $3.19 million. In third, we have 15 Regina Street, Wheelers Hill, which has 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms and sits on 654 square metres. It has a price guide of $1.35 to $1.48 million. Next, we have 103 Morris Road, Upwey, which we featured a few weeks ago. It's a fixer-upper and priced between $590,000 and $650,000. Lastly, 416 Ringwood Warrandyte Road. Warrandyte rounds out our list with a price guide of $1.24 to $1.36 million. This week's top listing is literally divine. 124 Napier Street, Fitzroy in Victoria. It's a historic bluestone church that's been expertly renovated under architect's supervision into a home, featuring 443 square metres of living space. It comes with 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms and 1 car spot. The second floor features a spacious open-plan living layout where the kitchen, dining, loft and sunken lounge area seamlessly integrate into one. The bedrooms are lined with wood and the master has an ensuite and adjoining laundry. The property also comes with a lift and a large north-facing terrace, which can be accessed directly from the living room. And look, there's lots of beautiful stained glass windows as well. But Divine Living doesn't come cheap. It has a price guide of $5.7 to $6.2 million. Well, joining me now is Eleanor Creagh, Senior Economist with REA Group. Eleanor, thank you for your time. Look, how much is the property market starting to slow down at the moment?
We have seen that, I guess, there's been a quite noticeable and pretty quick shift in the market as we've cooled off the exceptional pace of price growth and activity that we saw throughout much of last year. You know, last year was very much a seller's market, overwhelmingly so. Now we've seen this year a lot more choice coming to the market's slowing, prices beginning to fall in some areas. And in fact, in the capital cities, Sydney and Melbourne, we're actually seeing that prices are falling at the fastest pace since 1989. But it's unsurprising, I guess, when you put that in the context of what we saw last year, which was housing prices rising Australia-wide at the fastest pace in more than, or third fastest pace in more than 140 years.
So sales and property prices starting to cool off, but the rental market seems to be going from strength to strength. What's really driving up competition in that rental market?
Yeah, you're exactly right. In the rental market, competition is really heating up at the moment, and particularly in the capital cities. We're seeing that as cities return to life, demand to rent is really returning to the cities and tapering off somewhat in the regions. And what we're seeing driving this is not only that uplift in demand to rent in the capital cities, but also a very constrained availability of supply of rentals. So it's very, very tough for a would-be tenant to find a vacant rental at the moment. And actually, if we look at the total supply of rental listings available on realestate.com.au, that's fallen almost a third of pre-pandemic levels. So certainly, you know, not much choice out there for renters and a lot of competition.
Yeah, rents were obviously falling pretty sharply during 2020 at the height of the pandemic. Is it fair to say that rents are now rising pretty strongly again?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, we're seeing that on a national basis, advertised rents have risen 7% in the last 12 months. There are places where that's a little bit stronger, Hobart, Brisbane. When you look at Sydney and Melbourne, those annual increases in rents aren't quite so much. But if you look over the last few months or so, we've seen that demand to rent, particularly in the inner cities of Sydney and Melbourne, has soared. Looking at places like Parramatta, inner city Melbourne, potential renters per listing has increased. It's actually more than doubled in some of those regions. So we are seeing that those rental price pressures, although they're not quite as strong when we compare to this time last year, they've certainly picked up in the last few months, and we do expect that they are going to continue to pick up.
International borders obviously been open now for a few months, and we're seeing more and more people starting to migrate to Australia again. So is that putting further pressure and competition into the rental market as well?
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly one of the factors that I think we're seeing in terms of demand really returning to the capital cities, particularly Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane. And we're also seeing that demand has really surged in the unit market. So it's another factor, I guess, that we've seen not only with the borders having reopened, but also as cities return to life. Apartment living is maybe back in vogue for some. I think the relative attractiveness of living in an apartment was seriously impacted, certainly in Sydney and Melbourne throughout much of last year with lockdowns and restrictions, but we're seeing that picture shift quite dramatically. So the international borders having reopened, adding to rental demand and competition, and also the return to life of cities really adding to rental demand, particularly in the apartment market.
Well, Eleanor Creagh, Senior Economist at REA Group, thanks for coming on the program today.